Hey Mitchell, how's it going?
What's up? Not too bad. You?
Not too bad, not too bad. Enjoyed another episode. My Three Sons. Yeah, presented in double vision. Wear drunk though, only wear drunk. That's how you can do it there. All right, so of course this is kind of a fun little. If everybody's listening and you've listened to the previous episode, this one particularly had Mitchell watch it first and was ready to talk about it. So now we're on this episode. You had things to say about the robot wash, the cold open from this episode. Um,
No, just basically that it was just a song that was popular for this kind of thing. Like you go through a car wash, you'd sing the song, but instead of going to the car wash, it's now going to the robot wash.
except the 80s.
Robot wash.
It's like mostly the 70s and the 80s, I think, of this
Yeah,
song.
yeah, exactly.
But so there's two things we learn about this scene from this scene. Number one is it's cool. They've got some robots who they get washed similar to how a car does, I guess, in this universe. Except this is the only time we really ever see it. And John DiMaggio cannot sing. This song
It's not
is
bad. It's not terrible.
when he goes like whoa 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 whoa, like that's kind of harsh on the ears. I think there's like little window wipers on his eyes. I don't think it sounds great, but whatever the case, I think it's still a fun scene there. Of course, this is just the cold open, has no real connection to anything. And of course, he steps out and he does have his shiny ass, but unfortunately, the rain, and that's just the worst part. So there we go. Now, we go into the actual episode after all this, and we get the introduction of one of Bender's idols that we see many times throughout the series, and this is, of course, Elzar. Uh, tell the audience what are your thoughts on Elzar there, Mitchell?
I always thought that he was Gordon Ramsay, but I did a search and I can't remember. Oh, I don't remember how to pronounce this guy's name. Emerald Lagazi?
Laguizzi,
Lagazi?
Laguizzi or something? Oh,
Lagazi? Yeah, something like that.
the other big chef guy. Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, at the time, he like unfortunately his career has not gone off the same way that or at least hasn't held the same level of popularity that Gordon Ramsay has now.
Right.
Because I do remember watching this guy and stuff like that. His catchphrases were "Bam!" and "Let's kick it up a notch" or "Knock it up a notch." I can't remember.
Knocked up.
Elzar is this four-armed purple dude from Neptune. He does say, I think he says "knock it up a notch" rather than he says "kick it up a notch" or "knock it up a notch." I can't remember which one's which, but he
I
still
think
also
he
does the
says
same "Bam."
I think he does say knock it up a notch. Yes, let's knock it up a notch. Bam. And then yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, the other guy must have been kick it up, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
and
Elzar is from Neptune. This
yeah,
is confirmed. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say because like when they go to the little Neptune area, obviously there's a bunch of people that are just like Elzar there, so that would make perfect sense for that being in New York City. Sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, just that. Yeah, he was little Neptune and stuff like that, like
Yep.
Little China or Little Italy and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah, I think that's the key gimmick there for that situation, right? But yeah, I like it because it's also you learn about how Bender is secretly he loves cooking channels. He wants to be a chef. He's always
Right.
wanted to be a chef, um, and he's doing it secretly though. Everybody is like, oh hey Bender, what are you watching? And he's like, no, nothing, porn.
Nothing much porn.
He's like, oh, you like cooking, and Bender Bender's a robot, so obviously he can't taste things. He can't do the things that humans do when it comes to eating and whatnot. So it's interesting that a robot wants to be a chef. A little side thing is that Fry. I don't know why Fry says that he also likes to cook, but I don't think we've ever seen Fry cook in the series.
The only time we see him preparing food is when he gets that Oreo making machine. He
Yeah,
gets
the thing that
one
splits it
side of the
in.
cookie
Yeah,
and the other side of the cookie and then the middle part of the cookie and then he
swishes it.
puts them together to make an actual Oreo, and then he takes apart the Oreo and
It's
then
the
just licks off the cream part,
yeah.
and then throws away the cookie parts. I love that because I love Oreos, or at least I did, and I was never like that, but to put the cookies together and then take it apart just seems funny to me.
Yeah, but that's the only time we ever see him really dish out food, right? I've seen
Yeah,
him
it's the
with
only
we've
time we've
seen
seen
him
him
with
touch food. Yeah.
yeah, we've seen him with drinks, we've seen him with like that kind of stuff, but he's never been in like a kitchen scenario as far as I can remember. But just an
No.
interesting little throwaway thing that never actually gets talked about. So maybe this is potential for future things. Maybe Fry will cook at one point or another. But I
Oh,
think
I don't
again,
know.
this is more Bender's thing, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. After this, he gets chewed out by Hermes, saying like, "Hey, we can't just keep paying you for sitting around loafing on the couch. You call that a couch? I demand a
Hello.
pillow."
Nice
I
use of
love.
the
I
word
love it.
chewed out there, by the way. That was a clever play on words from
There's
the
a there's a
creator.
there's a
Yeah, yeah,
sign.
I know. That's like the creator. I thought the creator had done that kind of thing for a for a fun little pun intended kind of thing, but maybe not. Maybe I'm overthinking.
No, I think
But yes,
yeah,
he's getting
you're
chewed out.
overthinking that.
Yeah, probably overthinking
He's
it
the guys are clever, but I don't think I would have seen that as a connection.
to a food thing, to the whole episode being
Yeah,
about food and
the
liquids
first
of
the first
sorts. Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah. In any case, yeah. So yeah, Hermes says that he's not doing enough work, so he needs to do something in order to still pertain to have a salary. And of course, he wants to opt for being a chef, right? The company chef. Everybody's like, okay, great, I guess. Why? Those kind of stuff. Now, there's this little cutaway thing from it. I really enjoy since the beginning of the episode. Leela's not wearing her normal clothing. She's wearing like a green
A
shirt, lime green
lime
shirt.
green tank top.
Bender has like the best line for her. Just I called it here Bender's sing at Leela. She's like, how are you gonna do this if you don't know anything about taste? He's like, honey, I wouldn't talk about taste if I wore that kind of shirt or something. And I don't know why. I thought that line makes me laugh every time. So I'm gonna say that was probably one of the best ones for me. And then Fry going like, bam,
Bam,
so anyway, yes, they head off to go there. So
little Neptune,
Little Neptune, due to the fact that Bender has wanted to get, he wants to get
the
something.
Neptunium slug.
That's right, because he saw Elzar making this on the TV show, right? So this is something that he's just had in his mind. So he's going to go there. He wants to make this for the crew because they're, he's the company chef and they're hungry. So yeah, they go to Little Neptune. We get a couple little scenes here, just of randomness for like a crack vending machine. That
I found that hilarious
me too.
because I feel like that's gonna happen in real life soon.
Well, that it already does happen with like the stuff being stuck and people are like, no, I lost it.
Oh, right. So yeah, so he puts the money in, he hits the button, and then like what happens in sometime in real life, the cracked chocolate bar, whatever it was, got stuck against the glass, and you can't
Yeah,
shake those things.
yeah.
So yeah, this knock,
Can't get
knock,
it
knock.
down. He's
Come
like, no,
on,
come
man,
on.
I need my crack.
Yeah.
I think this is the only time they ever make like a reference to a drug like this or something like that. Because any other time they don't
Yeah.
really they make up like a new drug or something like that.
Oh yeah. And there's of course
The
episodes
one
we'll see later with
Yeah,
like
the one episode where Fry's a policeman. There's that one drug with Schrodinger's cat or something like that.
right. Yeah. And they do say like lots of drugs. Don't really specify exactly which ones. I do
Yeah,
think
this is
they
the only time they've ever specified because they don't even, I don't think they even talk about marijuana at any point. There's also that
no.
one episode where Bender's juicing off electricity or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's like the
I don't
robot
like
drug
again
for
like
that.
that's kind of made up, right?
Yeah.
It's not real.
More
So I
specifically,
think this is the only
robot
time they ever talk about that.
I think there are scenes where they're talking like Hermes has mentioned something once or twice, like if the police
I
show up, I
don't
have to
think
go
that,
flush a few things, which I think is insinuating certain things. But it just kind of it's funny as well because I believe in New York, like marijuana is legal. So it's just funny, like in 1,000 years, something has happened where it's no longer legal again in the Futurama universe. When it
it was
comes
made
to
in the 90s.
right,
Marijuana was still very illegal in the
oh, of
States.
course, yeah, yeah. In terms of crack, I do think they do mention it again in later episodes, but I cannot remember exactly which. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just kind of insinuated or just kind of talking like they're
Yeah,
making up a
they
drug.
never mentioned because
Yeah,
Fry also just says, "Man,
yeah.
I was more
Oh,
tripped out when I took that drug trip that one time or something like that."
yes. You know what? Sorry, there is another time they mention LSD, and this is also another cooking episode with also Bender in the future.
Right.
But
Okay.
other than
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yes. But you're right. There's not a lot of mention of other drugs in there. So this is interesting to see crack, and I think that's the joke that it's so easy to get it, but at the same time, it's so difficult because of the machines. We also get to meet the organ sales guy who does show up a few times throughout the series as well, specifically with Bender and Hermes in other episodes. So that's kind of funny. This is like the first instance of him and his like weirdly weirdly appropriating like certain merchandise for people to buy, such as Z-ray eyes and gills. And
Oh, right,
all that
right.
stuff.
I also wanted to
Yeah,
mention before this when we're
yeah.
walking down like the street. I can't remember the guy's name,
Are you
but you
talking
remember
about?
the
You talking
tinfoil
about number
hat
nine?
guy,
You talking about number nine
number
guy?
9. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
was gonna. That's
First
on
time
here
you
as
see
well.
him.
Yeah, first time we see him as well. Yeah, he's in there. That's holy crap! Like that's so many years in the past, right? Like who would have designed a character like that? Just had like the number 9 with a tinfoil hat. And he's somewhere in Little Neptune, just some random
Actually,
character.
I don't think he has a tinfoil hat in this one.
Not yet, I guess. Right? He's just the old bald guy with the number 9, but he still has the number 9 on his shirt. Like he's clearly number 9 guy. Yeah, I had that
Number
as
9
well. I
guy.
saw that first time. Now, of course, they go to a meats market. So I think this is supposed to be a parody of Little Italy because it's like the butchers and all this kind of stuff. So they go into a meat market and procuring alien meats. And Fry, though, right, he's easily distracted. So he talks to this guy, the organ sales guy, and he's trying to he's like, oh, hey, what's this? And he's like, oh, that's X-ray eye. He's like, this says Z-ray.
That's
He's
X-ray
like,
eye.
no, Z-ray. It's 2 times better than than X-ray.
Yeah, it's 2 times better.
And of course, Fry's very gullible, despite being the fact that he's, from New York and he should know this stuff. But Leela keeps on protecting him. This is going to come up later because they continuously bicker about how much she babies Fry, even though he thinks he knows better than her, despite the fact that, he's kind of an idiot. Now, of course, yes, they go into the butcher's. Bender wants to get the slug. Nice little joke there with the purple and the yellow slug.
Do you want the yellow slug or the purple slug? Whatever. Well, the purple one gives it like horrific, terrifying diarrhea.
And whatever. But then in the back, you see that he gives him the yellow slug. So it's all safe. So that's pretty good. And where does Fry go? Back to the other guy.
Actually.
And he is now he's suggested, oh, maybe you need gills, like you have problems, breathing underwater.
Underwater.
I do. It's like, okay, why don't I take your lungs? Because you won't need those anymore. It's like, I can't think of a reason why
Why
would.
not?
And then all this, right? So, anyways, Leela saves him again. Bickered again in the future, of course, and then we get to the next scene here. I like this development of the show because we get to see more street level elements, so we get to see more about where these characters might come from, and we do get references to characters that show up again, which is always great. Now, nice thing as well, we cut to them. They're back in the main area, the Planet Express.
The common room at the Planet Express,
right?
Yep.
And the professor's good news, everyone, when he comes back in, of course. But
this is the first time he says it. This is the first time he says "good news, everyone."
It is the first time. There we go. So the first time of our catchphrase, because he does say,
I think he says great news or something.
Yeah,
but this is the first time it's the "good news, everyone" meme.
Right.
And I love it.
Yes, I do too. I mean, it is a classic phrase of the professor and everything that he does in the future, especially when other people say it or it's tweaked slightly for joking effect. I think this is really good. So yeah, good news, everyone, from the professor. And he sends them off to wonderful things here. Sends them off to what was the planet called again? I'm blanking on the planet now.
I can't remember, but it was Planet Trexion or something like that in the Forbidden Zone.
Forbidden Zone. And the Forbidden Zone, and they were like, maybe
all
we
the
should
zones
go
are just yeah, that sounds dangerous. Oh, don't worry about it, Leela. It's just what the zones are all called, like the Forbidden Zone, the Death Zone, the Danger Zone, the Zone of No Return. They're all just names. Anyways, have fun in the Galaxy of Terror. Bye-bye.
Right. So, yeah, the professor unwillingly sends them to their potential demise if they send them to the Forbidden Zone, right? But as he says, it's just a name. It's all good. No problem. Nice thing about this, Amy and Zoidberg tag along for this adventure. And I think that's kind of a nice thing to see those two again. Haven't really seen them in proper sense since a few episodes back. So it's kind of nice to see them there. And of course, this is going to be the first time that Bender makes a meal for them. And he's created this yellow slug, as best as he can. But
he boils it. He just boils it, and then puts an apple in his mouth, and then pours a buttload of salt on it, which is what you Have you ever done that in real life where you find like a slug in your garden or something like that and poured
No,
salt on it?
I can't.
No,
I can't
I
say that I
have
have.
like just
Okay.
like a small handful of times. Like they bubble and like they die. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a very horrifying. It's like acid, I guess would be the best way to describe it.
Well, salt is an acidic thing, I guess, right? Which is why it would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, yeah, it shrinks up because it's like
It
killing all
shrinks.
the moisturizer and everything. So this whole
Yeah.
giant slug has now become this tiny little thing. And he's like, uh-oh. But anyway, he still serves it to everybody. Now, Leela, being the supportive and confident captain as she is, she says to them, like, okay, listen, this is Bender's first time cooking. You got to be nice to him. And then they all take their bites, and
And
they're
Leela
both
goes, "Oh dear God!" like she's
the
just
worst
like,
thing I've
"Now
ever had.
remember,
Yeah,
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 let's be
exactly.
super nice." And then, "Oh God, this is the worst."
Yeah, she's the meanest out of everybody.
Yeah,
So,
or at least the first one to break the hidden promise.
right. And so yeah, Amy's kind of like just choking it off. Fry's like, oh god, like this is the saltiest thing I've ever had. I once ate salt. Like he just can't stand it. And then they also have like salt water because I guess Bender's just mixed everything with salt, right? So they have like no good water, too salty of a dish, all this kind of stuff, which will lead, of course, into the main element of what happens with the delivery. Now, I'm sure this was probably one of your favorite ones, right? Because everybody's like, "Oh, this! What are you trying to do? Kill us?" And Bender's like, "There's nothing wrong with this food. This is like 60% less than the
10%,
10% less
10%
than the
less.
lethal dose of salt." And Zoidberg makes me laugh. Oh, I shouldn't have seconds. I should
I
have
should
had
have had
seconds.
seconds.
So I guess Zoidberg either didn't mind the food, or he was just hungry enough that he could have eaten more than that, just despite the bad taste of it. Who knows? But in any case, Zoidberg's still alive, so I guess he's okay from this kind of assault. But in any case, reason this is so important for when we go from this is because now we have Fry having to do this delivery again. Leela chastises him for being childish, not knowing or thinking about things ahead of time, and Fry is constantly bickering at her because he's sick of her treating him like a child. This is the overarching element of the two characters of this episode. And so he takes the package from her. He goes out there, and of course, this planet.
Very Tatooine.
I was just gonna say, it reminds me very much of Tatooine, like multiple suns, desert planet, nothing around, no vegetation or anything. So of course, Fry is just eating a salty slug. He's just drank salty water. He has
And now
like
he's walking in the hot,
now
hot
he's
sun.
right. He's walking the sun, and there's like multiple suns, day and night. So he's just like
Well,
constantly
is
sweating.
we don't know that until he's like, "Oh, thank God the sun's going down." The one sun is like, "Oh, yes, the
Right,
sun's going down." And as soon as that one goes down, the other one comes up, but the sun's even closer and it's
right.
super hot. He's like, "Oh
Yeah,
God."
an even more intense sun, right? So anyway, he gets to his delivery spot. It's like a nice castle-esque looking thing, right? But
My question here
yeah,
is like they're in a spaceship, and
why didn't they? Yeah,
why didn't they just land that? And then I thought to myself, there was like a landing area, so maybe that was on purpose or something like that. Like ships have to land here, and it could be the same thing
yes,
like an airport. Like here's domestic ships, here's international ships, here's little aircraft carriers, kind of thing, designated
yes,
areas. Again,
yeah.
overcomplicating things in my brain to make justice for it, and also they played it for a joke too, right? So
It
who
is
knows? But
it
I
is a
think
long-running joke. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I think a real life, if like you have like if there was interplanetary delivery and stuff like that, you would have like some kind of vehicle where you could drive there after you
right.
land.
Oh, exactly. I think this. Well, it's kind of like having like helicopter pads whenever people go to like famous areas, right? They have situate. You can't just land on the
On
lawn.
top of a
You have to
building. Yeah.
or on the building. You have to land in a certain spot, right? So I'm sure they have rules for this as well. Don't forget, this is also like another planet that is technically in an area where they're not supposed to go, right? This is the
The
forbidden
Forbidden
zone.
Zone.
So
It's
maybe
just the
they're
name,
trying to be
Anthony. It's
maybe,
just the
or maybe they're
name.
trying to be incognito so they don't stir up any trouble because this is also like an empire run planet, right? This guy that Fry is
We're
delivering
talking
to.
about Futurama, not
Yeah,
Star Wars.
but it's still, he says to the emperor. This is on his package. He literally has to deliver it to said emperor,
Fine,
right?
fine.
In any case, Fry gets into this palace looking thing, hence a lot of importance, but nobody's there. Nobody's there, and he's just like whatever. Goes up, there's a throne, and he puts the package on the throne. Now, of course, though, there is also this bottle of this strange blue liquid that Fry can't help himself. He's impulsive and he's thirsty and he's got to drink it.
Well,
And
they made it look like, in those like pop commercials or soda pop, whatever you call it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
So
it
the
has
commercials, yeah,
mist on the outside. It's just now it's nice and cold, and
yeah.
he's like you said, three sons. I
I
thought
can't do it again.
I
Yeah,
can't do it.
I got to do it. So he drinks them. Now we know, of course, the Emperor is a liquid being. The whole species of this planet, the main species of this planet, are
We
liquid.
don't know that till just after this, though.
Right. Now we know, right? Because when they do this, his guards show up as living water. Like, is that the best way to describe it? Living liquid, we'll say.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
come up and, oh, you drank our emperor. And then cuts to the commercial break. So this is also, I know this because I recognize the voice. Billy West, who of course does Fry and Zoidberg and the Professor, he does the guard who's like, "You drank our emperor, you shall like get the not the reward, but whatever the outcome, the consequences of it." Right? That voice is like the slight difference of Nixon when Nixon shows up. Like that
Oh yeah,
is
yeah,
Billy
yeah.
West's Nixon voice, and I'm like, you just tweaked it slightly, but that is exactly what Nixon is basically going to sound like. So that was something I caught on there. So that's how I know that's Billy West. And then the other guy I think is Maurice LaMarche, if I'm not mistaken, from what I can remember. Just he has very distinct voice, set of voices as well. So I remember those ones. Any case, we have Fry's drank the Emperor, which actually in this culture, if you kill the previous emperor or assassinate them, then you therefore become the new emperor. So Fry becomes emperor of an entire planet simply by having a drink and not thinking ahead. This is important because he is now justified in never thinking things through, unlike what Leela has been telling him the entire time. So
Yeah, you just
yeah,
drank something and you didn't think about it. It could have been poison. The chances were there. Chances were equally as good as it being an emperor.
exactly. Could have been an emperor, could have been anything else,
Poison.
right? It could have been poison. But there it is. He became emperor because of that, right? Now, the package that he delivers as well is a nice little joke. Says, "Don't drink the emperor." And he's like, "Woo, got here just in time." So he's all happy. Delivered it to himself. And what do you think of these liquid alien people? Do you think I think they're actually kind of cool? It's kind of a neat cultural development, neat cultural alien development thing. What do you think of these creatures?
They're interesting. I don't really have an opinion on them. They're just aliens in a made up world. The concept of water being sentient though is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, especially on a planet that is all desert, right? Like they I guess they don't
True.
need water because they're literally they can't evaporate. I guess so they don't have that form. Um, we do see like unique ways that they can become different things. So they can actually become that liquid form as well and move around. They can hide in
Still doesn't
dishes
make
and
sense with the
bottles.
volume though. Like
No,
they're
that
all
is
like 6-ish feet tall. Like they're regular size things,
yeah,
but they can fit into a
a
bottle the size like
bottle.
a liter bottle, which doesn't make sense because either they're hollow inside and they just make their water in the shape of a thing. Which again, we're going too far into it
That could
to
be.
really enjoy it.
That
But
could
just
be.
like
Yeah,
the consistency of their volume,
yeah.
you can't change volume of water like you can with gas. You can compress gas and put in a little tiny canister, or you have it in a big thing. It's the same amount of gas. This is like grade what 6 science or something like that. Like
Whatever it
gas
is.
will
Yeah.
take up the room, or it can be compressed
Well,
and be
it
put into a small room.
expands.
Same volume,
Right, but if it condenses, then of course it could be quite like explosive too, right? But
pressurized.
yeah,
Yeah,
pressurized
pressurized.
for it. But yeah, no, you're right. We're overthinking this, but I think you're onto something because when they become their liquid state on the floor, they're actually not as big as they should be from that height as well,
Yeah,
right? They're small puddles. So sure, we'll go with the idea that they're not completely liquid. They're like a little. They're probably like gas inside as well with the
they're
liquid
probably
forming
all liquid.
around.
Like again, we're overthinking this. It's just oh, what's this liquid thing? Oh, okay, and then they turn into like a being. It's like oh, okay, the liquid beings. But again, just the fact that it was in a small bottle, it just that's what bothers me personally. If I was to have any kind of gripes with this, is just like yeah, I don't think a
The
person.
physics, the physics of it.
If we were to blend you, Anthony, you're what 5'10", 5'11", right?
I'm 6 feet, but sure. Yep.
Sure,
Um,
5'10". And if we were to blend you, you would not all you into liquid, a pure Anthony puree. You would
um,
not fit into a 2 liter bottle.
No, I definitely wouldn't. But there's also a lot more elements to me than there are to these liquid people, right? I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying like this
If we're going to
is
say volume to volume, again,
sure,
I'm making a bigger deal about this than ever. So if we
right?
were to blend you, a 5'9" person, you would not fit into a 2-liter bottle.
Yes, if I, a 5'8" person, were to do this, I could not fit
5'7", 5'7", you
five,
said.
5'6", maybe 5'6" actually. Yeah, I'm actually quite short.
But same size as Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah,
You
right.
know what?
And
5'1".
Wolverine.
You're 5'1" now. You're
Yeah.
5'1" now. You lost your knees.
Oh, damn. Well, then I could fit into that drink, that jar now.
Yes, yes. You lost, what is he, like 3 feet of legs, and just from the knee down, and your feet too. Your feet are
Gone.
gigantically massive. They're 80% of your volume.
Yeah, that's what that. Yeah, gigantic feet I have. But in any case, the Fry and the company, Fry and the crew, they enjoy the perks of him being an emperor, right? They get to have, you
Like
know,
they're being
beautiful,
pampered.
yeah,
Like
food,
the fronds, is that what
massages,
they're called? The lily fronds, feathers,
the fronds. Yeah, for sure. The palm
fronds,
fronds, which is another
palm
funny
fronds.
thing
Thank
that
you.
they're in a desert planet without any water, yet they have palm fronds. But maybe they are feathers. Sure. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Bender's getting
They're
polished.
getting fanned and he's getting polished, right? Yes. And they have some new people who show up, right? The high priestess, the liquid high priestess, who, or priest, I should
High
say, sorry,
priest,
high priest,
priest.
who
That guy's
recommends like,
voiced by Maurice LaMarche. Yeah.
yeah. And then I believe the previous prime minister before Bender takes his position, I think is Billy West. But
I
any
don't know.
any
It could
case,
be
yeah,
any of them.
they're all kind of mixed up in this one, right? I know
Yeah.
David Herman, I believe, is the emperor himself, right? When we hear him later, but yeah, they get pampered, they get food. There's this little running little joke inside where Amy is kind of like
No, this is beforehand.
flirting.
He takes him to
Well,
his concubines. He
well,
takes Fry
well,
to the
yeah,
concubines.
the concubines with Fry, and he can choose like his bottles, and then like, there's
They're
like
all in
some
bottles.
judgment.
Mind you, these bottles are bigger bottles than the bottle of whatever, right? They're
Right,
like 5-liter bottles or whatever.
that's right. Yeah.
And he's like, "Now, Majesty, you can choose whatever you want." That's not a good person. That's not a good imitation of the voice, but that's what I'm going with. And Fry's like, "This one, that's what you like." Okay. He's like, "Oh, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. I want this one."
Like, oh,
Okay, whatever you're into.
I didn't know Your
No,
Majesty
no.
was into that kind of thing. And yeah,
Yeah,
like, that one.
yeah,
He's like, oh, I'm not here to judge. So it doesn't matter what he chooses, right? Because yeah, Fry has no idea what the hell he's looking at. They're all just bottles of liquid to him. So he has no
exactly.
idea. Yes, and then of course, yeah, they're still getting pampered, and then Amy says something along the lines of like, "Oh yeah, these people seem quite like passive and they're quite nice." And Zoidberg states like that she's been putting her fingers in one this entire time, which is the previous prime minister, and he likes her. And then later there's this little scene where they're talking to each other and Amy's being kind of flirty. So there's a little joke there. I like that. Now they're having this coronation dinner. This is one of the last few times that Leela shows up, and she's there to warn Fry that there's problems with this kind of organization and their culture, because what will happen is if Fry gets killed, the next person will take his place as the new emperor, and so on
Yeah,
and so forth.
yeah.
And the running time for people being emperor on this planet is estimated to be an average of like a week. So Fry, again, he doesn't care. He doesn't want to take it away from himself. He wants to be himself. He's sick of Leela constantly forcing him to do this, or forcing him to do different things that he doesn't want to do. And there's, I don't know why. I like this thing. This makes me laugh all the time as well, where Fry is trying to make a point, and he's telling Leela the
Oh,
story of the grasshopper and everything, but he mixes up all of these stories
yeah.
together.
Oh, that was in my notes too. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like the original story of like
What's
I think it was the scorpion and the frog or whatever. Is that that's the
Scorpion and
one
the
where the
Frog?
scorpion's like, "Hey, if you take me across the river, I won't sting. Like, I won't sting." He's like, "But you're gonna sting me. If I sting us both, we both die." And the frog's like, "Okay, fine, I'll do that." Goes across the river,
Yeah.
halfway through, the scorpion stings him. Then there's another one,
So both the
and
names,
I can't
grasshopper and
remember.
I think it's the
It's
gra-
something to do. I think there's a grasshopper and the ant, but
yeah
there's also one about a squirrel and I think
yeah
another type of woodland animal about storing nuts for the winter. And the one animal doesn't do it, so he's gonna die. And the squirrel's like, "You should have stored your nuts." Now
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I watched or read the friendly kid version of that. Where he's like, "I no worries." other
I'll
woodland
help
creature.
you. Right.
I, the squirrel, had saved enough to help you because I knew you would screw up, you little shit. So come
Right.
on in. But I think in the actual, like, I think it's one of those Brother Grimm stories. Like the other woodland creature dies of starvation and then gets a corpse ripped apart by dogs or something. I don't know.
No, not that not that major, but yes, no, it's supposed to be a lot more poignant with their phrasing, right? Because it's supposed to teach kids the value of like the lessons learned from this, right? Like, don't trust strangers was like this kind of thing. Make sure you do your hard work because the hard work will pay off. Don't be lazy, this kind of thing, right? This is what it is. But Fry is a moron. So he just mixes all these analogies together. And then he says something about a race car and like
Yeah,
it lives with
like
this
the
the guy's
grasshopper,
girl,
and
the
then
girl lives with the grasshopper's girlfriend or something, or
yeah, the
mooches off of the
grasshopper and the
girlfriend.
octopus had to
But the
store acorns
octopus,
all winter,
right?
but in the end they killed each other or something like that, and then the
Yeah,
octopus made up with the grasshopper's girlfriend.
right.
I love it. Just it's
I
just
love it. It's
it's
just so random. And then as he's telling the story, Leela's just like looking, at him, just staring at him, like, "What are you talking about?" Oh, I love it. But yes, we see this whole thing, and I do like the little joke of having like, here's Fry in the picture, and it's like Fry, the Emperor Fry, and then afterwards it says
yeah,
Fry's
there's a note.
assassin, and then Fry's assassin's assassin. And he's like, "Oh,
I like the
at
what he
least my
says.
guy will get what's coming."
Exactly, I love that
Yeah,
joke. Yeah,
that's wonderful. And then anyway, so Fry finally pisses off Leela enough that she says, "I'm not helping you ever again. You can solve your own problems because they're going to kill
yeah,
you." And she leaves
yeah.
and
You gotta
storms off.
memorize that long speech, and he's like,
Right, in order for him to become professor, or sorry, not professor, in order for him to become emperor,
emperor.
then he cheats anyway. He writes it on his arm, which who hasn't done that? I mean, we've all
there,
done
there,
something like that, so I get
there's a joke though that we missed.
it.
When we see like the Fry, Emperor Fry, and then Emperor Fry's
Yes,
assassin, Emperor Fry's assassin, and then when Leela walks away or whatever, and then
yes,
the next there's a picture with like a hidden slot that opens up, and someone puts a straw and tries to drink Fry,
Fry. Yeah,
but
like
Fry's not a
he's
liquid,
a
so he just
solid.
like bets away and goes like, "Quit it."
Yeah, no one's
I
gonna
think.
drink me, and then the guy tries to stick him with a straw. Oh, I love that too. That I was gonna get back to that, but you're right. That is a great line for or a great scene for this kind of thing. So people are trying to already kill Fry. I'm curious who that was. We never find out who the person was that was trying to drink him. It's probably just some rando, but I like to think it was maybe the prime minister or the high priest. You know, somebody we've
It was
met.
probably the prime minister
Yeah, it's just
because he
like
lost his job.
right. But he's still part of the group though, right? He's still there. He's still helping out with everything. He's part of the coronation ceremonies. He's all whatever. So in any case, he still has power. He's just not the prime minister anymore. Um, now, Fry does his coronation. This is in front of the population outside of his empire, I guess. He's standing outside. He tries to make a joke, doesn't work, so he just ends up reading the coronation thing. He does it.
Yeah, I like that too
Yeah.
because the joke falls flat. Instead of hearing crickets, you
You're
hear a water
drip.
drop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. Well done, Mitchell. That's a good sound effect there.
Oh yes, I'm good at sound effects
When you think about it,
when I try.
when
Yeah,
you try.
think about it. Yeah.
Now, yes, and do that whole thing. I think what does he do? He just says, "What up?" Right? He's just trying to be
Yeah,
friendly,
he's
but
trying to be like,
no
I'm
one's
one of
wanting.
you guys.
Yeah,
I'm not an emperor. I'm trying to appeal to you guys, the peasants, which happens in modern day politics too, and it
exactly.
never ever works.
Like it's when like the teacher tries to be as cool as the students, and it's like,
Yeah,
"Nah, you're not part of
hey
this,
there,
man."
kid. Hey there, guys. Go away, Mister Lemmington.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
okay. I
fellow
guess I'm
children.
no harm.
Yeah.
What's up, fellow kids?
Um.
God, I love Steve
So
Buscemi.
so anyway, Fry cheats. He reads the whole thing off of his arm. I
Yeah,
guess he could write that
he
whole thing.
wrote it on his arm, and like as a person who's not very good with memory for that type of thing, I
Sure.
probably would have had a cheat sheet too.
I
But like,
absolutely would have done a cheat sheet for that. That's crazy amounts of
yeah, because
reading.
it's like so
Yeah.
and so drank this person, the
Who
next
drank
person
this
guzzled
person? Who
that
drank
person.
this person?
There's
Yeah.
a lot of words for like drinking and guzzling and slurp and stuff like that. It's
And they're
quite
and the
involved.
titles of the previous emperors who are all somehow liquid related as well. Like
Yes.
somebody, the chunky who was souped soup or slurped up
Slurped.
by somebody else like this or whatever. Like it's quite funny how they do it, but they only do it for a couple of seconds, right? Because it
Viscous.
goes through
Something
the
the viscous was one of them.
There was sipped, slurped, somebody the viscous, somebody the chunky,
Gooey.
somebody the gooey. Like it
Yeah.
was all these things, right?
Chunky water doesn't exist. What are you talking about?
but the chunky soup does, right? That was like the part of
I
the
guess
joke
that's
there.
true. Never mind.
Um,
Yeah.
and then of course Fry finishes, and then he's dubbed Fry the Solid, which is a kind of nice little play on there. So he's the one different emperor of all of them. And then this is kind of I thought this was actually a very beautifully crafted scene, I guess, beautifully animated. Because although I know it's quite easy, but when the darkness does finally set or comes apart, the sun sets, sorry, and the darkness happens, the liquid people are able to turn like glow, like bioluminescence kind of thing. And so they have this beautiful blue light that all of them do.
When all three suns set at the same time.
Yeah, they become this I can't remember if they called it like a illuminating phase or something, but everybody remarks like, wow, this is just incredible. And who should also be glowing is Fry, due to the fact that the emperor that he drank is still alive in his stomach. So now that emperor, oh no, Zax or something, I'm blanking on his name. I should have wrote his name down too. When he awakens, Fry's emperor is nullified. He is no longer a
Emperor Bont.
Bont, thank you. He's no longer a candidate, so they're going to listen to the real emperor, the one that's in Fry's stomach, and kill Fry to drain him out. So here we go. The group, that being Fry, Zoidberg, Bender, and Amy, because of course Leela left because she was angry with Fry, goes back to the ship. They run back to the palace and they lock up the door. Now,
As they're running though, the emperor and Fry they're over here. They're over here. They're running this way.
Like,
so Bender punches him, saying "Shut up," but he just punches Fry, and Fry goes,
yeah. Not the first time or the last time that Fry will ever hit, or sorry, Bender will ever hit Fry. But yeah, they get in, they lock themselves in. Luckily for them, these creatures can't be liquidy enough to go under the door or through the cracks of the door.
They're sealed tight.
They can
flex seal.
Yeah, and they also can't go up the wall and in through the windows because that would be cheating.
Plot hole.
Yeah. So here we go. They're all in there, and now they're trying to figure out how to get the Emperor out, and they have like some funny gimmicks, like, well, we can, like maybe what does he say, like throw up or something? I could like puke you out or something. And he's like, no. He's like, well, I could urinate or something. Would that feel better? He's like, well, I much prefer the bone crushing, but that would make me feel a bit better. So, any case, they figure out, wait, we can make you cry, and then the tear ducts can drain him in there. We can put him in there, but Fry won't cry. He can't cry on cue, unlike some other actors.
Yeah.
So he has to
I
go.
like that one too, because like what Bender's trying is like everyone you ever knew was dead. He's like, well, that's a load off my mind. Young people use curse words.
That's how the world is. Like, oh, your God is nothing and never existed. There is no God after death or whatever. And he's like, wow, that's a load off my mind. This is a reveal. It relieves him of everything.
So, and then Bender's like, wow, it takes a lot to make people cry. And then Leela's like, it's okay, Bender, shut up, fatty, or something like that. I can't remember what he said. Shut up, bimbo. Embo, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Shut up, you bimbo.
Yeah, and Amy starts crying, right? Yeah. Yeah, so words hurt some people, but not everyone, right? And Fry also makes a comment of being macho, right? Like, maybe I'm just too macho. So this is the case. The only thing, and this is really interesting, the only thing that seems to be the case that can make Fry cry is if he thinks somebody that he cares about is in distress. So they need Leela's help, and Amy suggests this, and Bender goes to call her, and this is of course another wonderful scene. Calls her up, and they have like the communication phone or the video call phone, right? But it's still the rotary, like the old style call, like corded phone or whatever in the corner, and calls Leela, and he says, listen, I know I don't like you and you don't like me. And she's like, I like you. It's like, oh, okay. Well, anyway, Fry needs your help. But then she's like, well, after what he did to me, I don't want. He's like, wait. What do you like best about me? This being Bender, of course, is all selfish about himself. So cuts to them going there. It's like, what'd Leela say? She's like, oh, she won't help us. But I do know that she loves my in-your-face attitude. So I thought that was a nice, funny little scene with Bender and Leela. Of course, though, Leela does end up helping them. She starts fighting them from below, and Fry feels guilt that she's spent all this time trying to save her or save him, and tried to help him, but he just kept throwing her away as if she was nothing. And then when he thinks that she's going to be in real danger, when he starts to cry. Now, of course, Leela, as we know, is quite a competent fighter, and she's able to scale up this wall, I guess. So she's able to come in. Everything's good. But her new thing is, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The other thing that I like about this is while they're trying to figure out what to do with Fry beforehand, and right after Bender called Leela, you go to the people of this planet. I can't remember what it's called, and they're pushing this big monstrous machine that looks like a lemon juicer.
Oh,
and that's what they're going to juice Fry with. I love it because they live on a planet where like it's just sand, so like their castle's like a sand castle, but you know, like a brick made out of sand castle,
right.
a brick sand castle,
yeah,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where the hell did they get this technology? Also, they're made of water, so can you really juice water? You can juice a lemon.
Why would they need this in the first place, right? Yeah.
Well, there's some other things that Fry's not the first solid person to drink them, right?
Yeah.
And is that an issue too? Where they like, I mean, they drank my boy. They drank my boy. It's okay, Mr. So and so. We got the juicer. Thank God. Thank God. The juicer. I just the thought process behind this I think is pretty funny.
Just nice
dark.
Throwaway joke, or not throwaway joke, but a good joke to have in there, right? And then of course the Emperor is like hates Fry, obviously. He killed him, but tried to kill him, but he's like, yes, the juicer, then they can strip away everything with just me there. Then Zoidberg is like, why didn't I think of that? So of course Zoidberg, because he has no knowledge of anything else, which they make reference to, that he forgets about, people's bones and such, about trying to get the
bones. I always forget about the bones.
So of course, though, pain is going to be a constant situation here, because Leela figures this out. We try to get this out of you. We need to make you cry. But the only way we can make you cry is by causing you physical harm. So everyone gets joy in trying to make Fry feel pain. They got hair pulling, cigar burning, slapping.
Cut it out, Bender. That's a tender area.
Stomping on your foot, to all the way to the point where they're trying to get all the Emperor out of the bottle, and to the point now that he's lying on the ground. Everybody's just kicking him on the ground, trying to make him cry, including now.
No, hold on before you do that.
Yeah, sure.
So the people are still trying to break down the door from the outside, but they're throwing their body, their very wet body against the door. Keep going, man. We just peeled the veneer. Let's keep going.
Yes.
So somehow they do eventually get through. It starts leaking through, and then Zoidberg's like, Zoidberg will save the day. So then he puts one of his like mouth tentacles to stop it and stuff like that.
Right.
And then like a little time lapse happens where it's later, and it's Amy kicking the crap out of Fry, and she's like, okay, your turn.
And of course she's pointing off screen. Everybody else is pointing off screen.
Yeah,
she's pointing off screen, and then there's like this chair that's hitting Fry, and it's from the Emperor himself. He got out
from the Emperor,
but they didn't realize. So he's like, wait a minute, what? He's like, I'm the Emperor. He's like, oh, great. He's like,
thanks for crying me out.
And then just keeps hitting him. And funny enough, actually, it
just fades away. Fades away after that.
That's where the episode ends. There's no real conclusion. There's not them leaving and learning like the quote unquote lesson. It's just like Fry got beat. That's it. So I assume then the Emperor, or they got away, whatever the case is. But
the series continues, so of course
exactly they must be alive, right? So this was My Three Sons. Overall, I thought this episode was good. There's a lot of funny episodes in it, but it wasn't my favorite of the season.
It's a lot more Futurama than the other ones, like consistency with the other ones.
Yeah.
Like anytime they go off planet somewhere, it's like adventure happens on that planet or something like that during their travel. Yeah. And so this one to me was a lot more Futurama-y.
Sure. It also it's an interesting way that they started off with seeming like it's going to be a Bender-centric episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Morphing into a Fry-centric episode, so with like an overarching Leela thing in it, right? So it's interesting how they did that. I think that maybe this is the first time they kind of concentrated on two characters doing that, and they'll do this in the future as well. But it's just kind of a weird dynamic. But yeah, I guess we'll move into the segment here of your favorite scene, funniest scene, MVP of the episode. What do you feel?
I don't know. Favorite scene? It might be the one where just like where Fry was trying to get that the gills, the gills and stuff
Oh,
like that. And
sure.
then
Yeah.
the Russian guy was like, "Okay, you're gonna go down to this table," and like it's just a table in the back alley, so he just brushes off all the garbage on top, lays Fry down, and then
The
he's like,
nurse is this
"Nurse!"
giant
And then
guy
there's
who's
this
holding
giant guy, and he's like, "Let's do it,"
it. Yeah.
kind
You
of
may
thing. He just
feel a
holds down
slight
Fry.
pain.
You
Yeah.
may feel a slight stabbing pain, and then of course Leela kicks him in the face and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I like the little sequence; it was funny.
Yeah. I
Now
agree. That was pretty
MVP character. Or no, what's your favorite moment in this thing before we get
funny.
to MVPs?
My favorite moment, I would say, well, there's my favorite funny moment, I think, is probably like honey, I wouldn't talk about taste if I wore
Yeah,
a
that
Honey
one is pretty
t-shirt.
good.
I think that was probably my favorite line of that. That's like right at the beginning. I love that. I just love that scene. And bam, like just that's great. There's a couple other really funny ones with it, but that one's my favorite, I think. And then my favorite scene, actually, one thing, and I kind of wrote this down, but I didn't touch upon it during the conversation with the episode. But when they're doing the coronation dinner, I thought this was a really, really neat thing that they did with these, because they're liquid people. What they
Oh
have
right,
for
yeah, I was
music,
gonna mention that. Yeah,
yeah, the classical music thing that they do is actually like them in the glass. Of course, to your point about the volume
yeah,
weirdness of this,
yeah.
but whatever. They have their
Playing the
fingers
crystal
out.
glass.
They're
Yeah,
playing the crystal glasses. Yeah, and I thought that was really neat. So that means they can kind of get the pitches and such. I thought that was a neat idea. So I thought that was a really I'd put that as one of my favorites of just overall elements. I also like when they're in Little Neptune, all that fun stuff. But yeah, I think that was really cool. Yeah, MVP. What do you think?
no idea. I can't really pick one. Bender's in there a lot, but like he didn't really have much to do with the later half of this episode for sure.
That's right. Yeah, just the beginning, but even then, yeah, I'd say
I don't know. I'll go
yeah,
with Fry just because.
sure.
Just I think he probably had the best one-liners or whatever like that. Just like what were the chances of it being poisoned? Chances were equally as good as it being an emperor. That
Right.
was probably my favorite line
And
or
his
whatever.
whole thing with the grasshopper and
The
and the
grasshopper, right?
acorns,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Sorry, the
yeah,
grasshopper and his best friend, the
the
octopus.
octopus
We're
moosed
going to
off his
store
girlfriend.
acorns for the winter, but the
Yeah,
grasshopper died because the octopus stole all the acorns and then got a race car and moved in with his with the grasshopper's
whatever it
girlfriend.
was, right? Yeah, as ridiculous as all that is, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you. Fry's my MVP for this episode as well. I thought he was just absolutely hilarious. And of course, it has really good scenes with him developing his character. So I thought that was really, really good for him. All right, and yeah, I guess then next week we'll be dealing, or next time I should say, we'll be dealing with the next episode of our one with a big piece of garbage, episode 8. And we'll
Yeah, I'll remember it this time. No worries.
yeah, we'll have some
We're
fun
on
with that.
track now.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that one yet. Oh no, never mind. I
Yes.
have watched that one. I haven't done the title card for it just because I think that one is probably
Yeah.
my favorite episode of the season,
Of the season.
other than the season finale.
I was going to say when the finale comes, I think that is my favorite. But you're right, the big piece
Yeah.
of garbage has a lot of great elements to it. So we'll
Oh
hope to
yeah.
see you all there. And thanks again, Mitchell, for joining me. And
Yeah,
have
no
a good one.
problem. You too. Bye.